So with Efinity, we're building a new blockchain, a new parachain on Polkadot, which is this internet of blockchains. And what our main goal here is to make it easy, seamless for people to get on, start using blockchain. They don't have to go start, buying crypto off exchanges, do all this complex installing of wallets. All that stuff will be seamless. You'll start playing your game. You'll start receiving your NFTs. Then when you want to, if you want to take that and turn that into a cold wallet or put it in a hardware wallet, you can do that later on. But the initial onboarding is going to be completely frictionless.
Hey guys, today I'm excited to be joined by Witek Radomski, the CTO of Enjin, and then Caleb Applegate, who is the COO of Enjin. And I believe you guys are both maybe the same roles with the Efinity team. Today, we're going to be talking about Efinity and its role in, the future of NFTs and the future of, gaming and how Enjin fits into this. Just a real exciting conversation. Guys, welcome to the show today.
Thanks so much for having us.
Absolutely. So let's get started with, we want to talk about Efinity, but I want to talk about how kind of like Enjin, moved into having this idea to launching Efinity. Can you just kind of talk about that transition, where the idea came from and the use case that it's going to fill?
Sure. I mean, we started, we've actually been around for about 13 years. So I'm one of the co-founders, and we started out, from zero to basically creating this social network for community building for gamers. So people would play, World of Warcraft or Call of Duty or Minecraft, and they build these huge communities that sometimes grew to thousands or tens of thousands of people. Caleb actually ran one of the communities, Mineplex, which, is one of the biggest Minecraft servers in the world. And we noticed that people started, paying for in-game perks and things inside these Minecraft servers and donating to guilds and things like that. And we realized, wow, we could do something a little bit better with this. When we saw Ethereum coming around, we were like, wow, why don't we give people ownership, true ownership of their items using blockchain? But at that time, nobody was doing NFT. There's no concept of NFTs. So we were like, let's give game developers the ability to put these items in their games, give people access to own them. And then we could build things like a multiverse and go really crazy with creativity.
What about you, Caleb?
Yeah, well, just piggybacking off of that, I mean, we did it back in 2017. We built, as Witek said, this multiverse, and we started what we called an early adopter program, where we would bring game developers in, and that's expanded now. I think today we have well over 40 game developers. In fact, we're jumping into a big group call with them right after this, where we do monthly updates. And then, that's even expanded to just developers in general. We have apps on our platform utilizing Enjin's tools. And it is important, as we talk about Efinity, why did we decide to go that direction and build that, on Polkadot? It's important to understand where we came from. We've believed in gaming since the very beginning. This is our DNA. It's what we eat, breathe, sleep. This is what we're passionate about.
I've been a gamer for like my whole life, basically. So I've been spent thousands and thousands of hours in MMORPG games and, just like everything, right? So my biggest thing is I'm really sad that I lost all that history of when I played all those games, made all those friendships, collected all these items, built up my characters, did all this stuff, and it's all lost, right? Like it's all, maybe the game servers died, the games are not really being played anymore, things like that. Accounts got shut down, and I don't have access to that anymore. And I feel that was part of my digital identity, right? And we want to make that something, that lives with people.
Right.
Yeah. And I think, when you talk about digital identity, this is what I think, I would say people my age don't really grasp. And I grasp it. I'm not as interested in it. And I'm not I don't play a lot of games. I'm not going to carry around probably a book that's going to show you my NFTs, but I get it. I know why people are interested in it. Like, how much money I spent on my kids' V-Bucks on Fortnite, when Fortnite's out of style, every week it's a new, this skin dad, I got to have this one. I got to have this one, So, and they've had some interesting stuff on there, but we lose that, when they stop playing the game.
That's right.
But I understand that all this is coming, and I understand those feelings, and I understand the loss of something you put a lot into and it's just gone. It feels like wasted time. And I think that really is at the core of what you guys are doing, is developing a world where everything carries through and where people will have a digital identity that is just as important as their real identity.
Yeah,
Right.
people are spending so much time online. Like, go ahead, Caleb.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say this world in which we keep talking about, we started with the multiverse, we envision the metaverse. It has to have the proper infrastructure. And that's what we've been laying the groundwork for. So at the beginning, we were creating a platform for developers to create and integrate blockchain assets, these NFTs that we're talking about, without having to learn how to code. Now, one of my favorite speakers that I was just recently introduced to by Witek, Andreas Antonopoulos, I think I'm saying his name correctly, has said that payments with Bitcoin, Ethereum, like they're the currency that is laying the groundwork for density of mass adoption. Well, we've thought from the very beginning that games are going to be the mechanism in which density of adoption for the masses is laid for NFTs. So in every product that we're building, whether that's our wallet, and we've got a huge upgrade coming to our wallet that's going to be dropping this October. We've got NFT.io, which is our new marketplace. That's coming out mid-September. We've got our JumpNet network, which is a high-speed bridge network that allows free instant on-chain transfers of Enjin coin and ERC 1155 tokens. And then we've got Efinity, which is coming the end of this year. And I'll let Witek talk a little bit more about this cross-chain interoperable highway that we've invested so much time and energy into.
Yeah, like Caleb said, the average guy on the street, he's not really gonna be interested in installing, MetaMask and doing all this blockchain crypto numbers stuff, right? But with games, that people get to play games, they get to experience it, they get to feel what it's like to own these things and trade them and do things with them. That's for mainstream adoption, I think that's the most amazing thing. So with Efinity, we're building a new blockchain, a new pair chain on Polkadot, which is this internet of blockchains. And what our main goal here is to make it easy, seamless for people to get on, start using blockchain. They don't have to go start, buying crypto off exchanges, do all this complex installing of wallets. All that stuff will be seamless. You'll start playing your game. You'll start receiving your NFTs. Then when if you want to take that and turn that into a cold wallet or put it in a hardware wallet, you can do that later on. But the initial onboarding is going to be completely frictionless.
Wow. That it all sounds good. I want to touch on before we get, I want to get into Efinity. I want to get more into that, but I want to get your opinion on what I think the future of the world looks like, because, here at BitBoy Crypto and Hit Network, our mission statement is elevating potential to success in the new economy. And that's because we believe there is a new economy coming. I think when we look at AI and we look at robots and we look at what Amazon is doing, replacing workers all the time, Amazon, they say, is going to run out of workers to use because they burn through them so quickly. We're moving to a place where most people's jobs are going to be obsolete. And they say, well, you're going to need, people to, manage the robots or manage the AI. Well, yeah, but you're not going to need as many as you need to actually do the jobs. So I see a world where, gaming becomes so important that it's actually I believe it's going to be over 50% of our entire world economy is people are going to be, living in that metaverse and making money, kind of like you saw in Ready Player One, because we're not going to have jobs to do in real life and people are going to have to still do things to make money. What are your thoughts on that? Can you see the world going in that direction?
Yang gang, right? But totally. We're going to see that with everything. Even creative careers. People think, we can be creative, we can be, managing things, but AI is going to do a lot of that. Absolutely. AI can already write books for you, right? With GPT-3. AI can create photorealistic images of people's faces. AI can eventually own crypto as well. I think that people are going to find new ways to interact. There's going to be, I think everyone's always going to want capital. That's not going to disappear. Even if, you have this economy where everyone gets their basic necessities covered for free, utopia kind of situation, people are still going to want to, compete. Gaming is going to be a really good avenue to do that. And crypto is going to be basically, you can't really shut down crypto. So people are going to use that as long as people, are around. So yeah, I think it's going to be a huge part. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, people don't understand what's coming. And it's going to happen very quickly. When you look at No, not 12. 14 years ago, there was no iPhone. 14 years ago, there was no iPhone. And you look at how dramatically our lives have changed since then. And our lives are going to change even more dramatically over the next 15 years. So, all right, when it comes to Efinity and it's how it works with Polkadot, when do you see it actually launching on Polkadot? Because you guys are already launched.
We already have an alpha internally that's working. Got it. Mainnet is supposed to launch at the end of this year, beginning of next.
Oh, wow. That's fast.
Witek, beyond that, I mean, what are you and your team anticipating?
Yeah, so we're for sure going to have our developers, all the early adopters and game developers getting early access, around the end of this year, starting to integrate with their games, trialing it out. Now, a lot depends on the way Polkadot works. You need to have parachain auctions. So you have to have a piece of the network. Basically, every parachain gets a slice of that network, and then they get to own that security of that network for a certain amount of time if they win the auction. So we're going to be, competing to win one of those slots. So a lot will depend on that. It'll depend on, how many people want to get, who wants to be the first, Polkadot parachain, right? So a lot of people probably want to be that. So things will depend on that timeline, but we're going to be onboarding developers, getting people building their games on that, around the end of this year.
Yeah. So, and I don't know, I just covered a story today, the day we were recording this for my live stream. The Kusama auctions are going pretty well. Are you guys taking part in those at all, or are you guys just waiting for the?
We're looking at Kusama as well. I think that we're seeing that both communities are completely different. Polkadot and Kusama. Kusama is the experimental NFT sort of, anarchy kind of interesting aspect, and then Polkadot more enterprise, more huge projects, things like that. So we are actually starting to get interested in being involved in Kusama. We'll have more on that later.
So when it comes to Efinity, a question a lot of people want to know at all times, right? People are obsessed with price. Of course, everybody wants to know what the price of everything is. But what is the advantage for someone outside of just price to buy and hold Efinity?
So EFI is going to fuel the Efinity network. So Efinity network is a bit different than other blockchains. What it's going to be based on is anyone who wants to be involved with NFTs, anyone who's bringing value to NFTs, whether it's creating NFTs, or if you're simply just saying, I think this, this game item is worth X. I think this shield and sword and piece of armor is worth $100. I think this thing's worth $200. Just by doing that, you're providing value to the network, and you're going to be rewarded with EFI. So that's huge. Our goal is to actually, that long tail of items, that those million NFTs that you see on most marketplaces that no one really wants to buy, right? Those we want to actually incentivize people to put a price on those. So that's going to be a core part of the network. People who want to build, developers building on that, they're going to receive there's a community pool that people can vote. If they think a project is beneficial for Efinity, they can do that. If you want to just play games, do a lot of transactions on Efinity, do marketplace transactions, you'll want to hold EFI. You want to do governance, price discovery, all that kind of stuff. So you'll be able to stake your EFI on Efinity. And with Enjin Coin, you'll also be able to stake it to vote for the people who run Efinity, so the collator nodes that run it.
Ben, I think you brought up, was it last week, about EFI, and that we actually launched on August 4th.
Right.
We had a successful launch, very successful. And prior to that, we had an epic sale with CoinList, community sale that I think it sold out in like 3 hours.
Wow.
So a lot of momentum there. And EFI is the fuel for all transactions on the Efinity network, but it doesn't stop there. You can actually use it now. And I think, Witek, if you want to talk about JumpNet for a minute, and like, what is it and how, like, what role does it play?
Sure. So we started JumpNet as a sort of little sister network to Ethereum. A lot of people have already built things on Ethereum. They have smart contracts, but they don't want to pay $5 plus per transaction to move tokens around in the game. So with JumpNet, the goal here is to become, a fully decentralized but ultra cheap, transparent Ethereum network. And then the three networks: Ethereum mainnet, JumpNet and Efinity, they're going to be linked together with bridges. So you can move your tokens to whichever one you think you want to interact with. If you want to use the Efinity marketplace, get price discovery and things there, you can bridge that over easily. If you want to use your Ethereum smart contracts and do those kind of Ethereum operations for super cheap, you'll want to move it to JumpNet.
Yeah,
that's exciting.
No high gas fees. Yeah.
And you'll be able to use EFI in JumpNet. So EFI will actually give you more transactions. You'll get a portion of the transactions of the network by staking EFI on JumpNet.
Yeah. So it has utility now. Yeah.
Love utility. We love utility. That's one reason we love Enjin. We love Efinity. We love projects that are doing things and not just talking about things. I think it's important also to note, we didn't say this at the beginning, but early on when I started this YouTube channel, and we were talking before we went on air here, in the very early days of this channel, like I remember one of my very first news videos was covering a story about Witek creating token standards, and we didn't even give this. I mean, this just shows you the backbone that Efinity and Enjin have. I mean, you created some of the ERC standards. Which ones exactly did you create?
So the main one is ERC 1155. That is now supported across most marketplaces, most NFT marketplaces, because it's cheaper. It's actually better in many ways than ERC 721. You can do batch transfers of 100 tokens at a time. You can do both fungible tokens and non-fungible. Sometimes you want fungible tokens, where you want the tokens all to be the same. If you're using them in a game, they don't have to be unique if it's like a gem or something, right? So that became really popular in the Ethereum community. People loved it. There's some games now using it. The Sandbox actually has a dual ERC 155 721 token, and now we're also working on a new standard called pair tokens. And that one is all going to be about interoperability on, Polkadot, Kusama, being able to move those tokens around from Ethereum to Efinity to other networks too. We're going to open up the doors to, maybe BSC or other places like that. And you want that item that you own to still be the same thing wherever you move it. So we need a standard for that. So we're working on that.
Yeah, you don't get much better technical expertise in the world of blockchain than you do with Enjin and Efinity. So we're looking forward to seeing how all of this flourishes and develops. I mean, it's exciting to see we're at the beginning of something new here. Everybody has seen the track record of Enjin and now watching what's going to happen with Efinity. I know we're super excited about it. People want to check out NFT.io. I see that the site is up right now if they want to go see what's coming there. Where else can people learn more about Efinity?
They can check out our white paper, efinity.io, EFINITY.io. And then we're going to be doing a complete overhaul on our website that goes live September 1st.
Sweet.
And that's just Enjin.io. So yeah, a lot more simplified, very clear what we do, why we do it, how we do it. Yeah.
And for developers, we're going to be posting every 2 weeks a little video update about what's happening, what's coming down the development pipeline, what have we built. So on our YouTube, we'll be posting that on our blog on Enjin.
Well, we're certainly excited to see how it develops, and everybody make sure to check. We'll have some of those links down in the description for people to see. This is a project we're invested in. We've been invested in Efinity for quite a while, for full transparency, but this is one we were super excited to get invested in because we believe big things are coming. So to the audience, guys, drop your comments down below. Let us know what you think about Efinity. What do you think about the future of gaming? How is it going to fit with the economy? What do you think is going to happen with NFTs? Go ahead and drop those comments down below. That's all I got. Be blessed. Boy out.